Ferus Olin was a human male and the Jedi Padawan of Jedi Master Siritachi. Considered by the Order to be quite mature for a Padawan of his age, Ferus firmly believed in the Jedi Code and that its practices should be followed by the letter, and was well respected by the Order as a result. This standing often put him at odds with fellow Padawan Anakin Skywalker, as the two were often brought together by missions, as their masters found themselves working together on a number of different occasions, traveling to planets such as Ratnor, Yserion, Ondara, and many more, with the most notable being Korriban, the ancient birthplace of the Sith. Olin first worked closely with Anakin Skywalker on the time period of 27 BBY, on a mission to evacuate the planet of Ratnor in the midst of a deadly airborne toxin that left many of the citizens unable to flee the planet, as death caused by this toxin was almost certain. The two were dispatched with their masters, Siritachi and Obi-Wan Kenobi, along with two other Jedi Masters and their respective Padawans, Jedi Master Rai Gaul and his apprentice True Veld, as well as Jedi Master Soara Antana and her apprentice Darathel Tanis. During the course of this mission, the Masters and Padawans were forced to separate from each other as there were not enough isolation suits for all the Jedi to investigate the areas of the planet that had already been affected by this deadly toxin. Due to this, the Padawans were forced to stay behind with Olin and Skywalker, who were already at odds over issues of leadership, as the two of them had more experience on the field when compared to the other two Padawans on this mission. Despite the high tension between the group of four, the Padawans were able to work well enough together in order to discover the reasoning behind the release of this deadly toxin on the planet. While tracking a group of raiders who were ransacking and stealing from the fleeing civilians, the Padawans managed to discover that these raiders had somehow obtained the evacuation schedule for the still unaffected city of Tokto, allowing them to steal from the public with quite the efficient manner. This was further fueled by the discovery of Anakin and Vel that the planet's communication systems had been jammed from the orbit of the planet rather than malfunctioning, which led them to deduce that the natives of the neighboring planet of Avon had plans to invade Ratnor, by way of tricking the civilians with a false offer of aiding them in the evacuation, thus allowing Avon to land on the planet with an army of battle droids to quickly take over. The Jedi managed to thwart these plans and expose the Ratnoran scientist known as Galen, who had originally created and developed the deadly toxin that almost took hold of the planet. This victory, however, did not improve the relationship between Ferus Olin and Anakin Skywalker, as they still remained at odds with each other. Ferus still distrusted Skywalker, a distrust that was also fueled by Skywalker's desire for control on this mission, something that Olin closely observed. Ferus warned Anakin that he would be watching him in the future, a claim that infuriated Skywalker, further cementing their mutual dislike for one another. Ferus Olin's distrust in Anakin only continued to grow as the war went on, with the young Padawan voicing his opinion and overall concerns to Skywalker's own master, Obi-Wan Kenobi, on one of their missions together, telling Kenobi about Skywalker's immense will to do what he feels is right, believing that his own judgment was far superior than everyone else's, arguing without hearing you out first, thinking he can change situations and living beings alike, swaying them in his favor. And with the great power that Anakin wielded, he could. So why should we trust someone who always believes that he speaks with the voice of absolute right, Ferus said. But Kenobi disagreed with Olin's claims. This would later haunt Obi-Wan once his apprentice's dark fate was fully realized. Ferus Olin's final mission as part of the Jedi Order would come in the year 24 BBY. By this time, the increasing influence of the dark side of the Force had pushed the Jedi Council to make the decision to accelerate the promotion of some of the apprentices and elevate them to the rank of Jedi Knight. With this being a very crucial move, not only for the Order, but also for the Padawans in question, the Council decided to proceed with caution and initiated the program with a single student as the test case. That student was Jedi Padawan Ferus Olin. This infuriated Anakin, as he believed himself superior to Ferus in every way and thought that he deserved to become a knight before him. While on their way to the planet of Korriban to capture Granta Omega, the man responsible for the murder of Jedi Council member Yaddle, along with his accomplice Zan Arbor, Anakin expressed his true feelings towards Ferus angering him in the process to the point where the other two Padawans who were also a part of this mission, Tanis and Veld, had chosen to stay silent as their attempts to calm the tension between Skywalker and Olin ultimately proved useless. Once they landed on the planet, Anakin and Ferus were tasked to infiltrate the black market in hopes of locating a thief by the name of Olin. However, when they finally located her, they were attacked by a small squad of droids belonging to the army of the local guild. This allowed the thief to escape into a Sith monastery. Following closely behind her, Ferus and Anakin had sensed a dark power coming from the hangar exit. Unbeknownst to them, they had sensed the presence of a Sith in that hangar. Making their way to regroup back with Tanis and Veld, a group of super battle droids had ambushed the four young Jedi. In the midst of all the chaos, Anakin managed to spot a dark, shadowy figure heading towards the exit. Skywalker quickly rushed towards the figure, believing it to be Granta Omega. Unfortunately, to his surprise, he was thrown back by a powerful surge of Force energy coming from the mysterious figure itself. This was in fact the mysterious Sith whose presence they had sensed earlier. Despite their best efforts, the unknown Sith managed to escape the hangar, killing the thief Albin in the process. During their battle with the droids, Veld's lightsaber had sustained damage. Veld had asked Ferus to repair it, but unknown to Olin's knowledge, Anakin had made a repair prior to this, which caused Ferus not to double-check the repair he had made was on par with what Anakin had fixed. Skywalker was aware of this, but decided to stay quiet about the need to double-check the saber as he was angered by the fact that the young Padawan had asked Ferus for help instead of him. During the ongoing battle in pursuit of Omega, Veld's lightsaber began to fail once more because of the repairs that were not thoroughly inspected. This caused the young Padawan to switch sabers with Olin temporarily. As this was happening, Tanis rushed in to help Olin, only to be fatally shot by Omega. This event would cause Ferus so much grief and guilt that he ultimately decided to resign from the Jedi Order as a result, believing in his own mind that he inadvertently caused the death of his friend. Granta Omega then fled in hopes of meeting with the mysterious Sith Lord. However, he was betrayed by the Dark Lord as the Sith had already left the planet. With Kenobi and Skywalker, Omega was finally put down by Obi-Wan, ending his vendetta with the Jedi once and for all, although the same cannot be said by his accomplice, San Arbor, who managed to also escape and join the CIS as one of their scientists. Back at the Jedi Temple, still shaken up and filled with grief, Ferus firmly believed that he was responsible for the death of his fellow Padawan, and the fact that he had not yet told Veld's master, Gaul, about his apprentice's damaged lightsaber, which resulted in the events that unfolded back on Korriban. Ferus had decided to resign from the Jedi Order. After leaving his resignation to the Jedi Council, Ferus ran into Anakin. Ferus Olin then proceeded to tell his rival the reason why he was stepping down from being a Jedi, which then led Anakin to confess to Olin that he was aware that Ferus had fixed the lightsaber, but come to find out that it was the part that Anakin had fixed prior which failed completely, and he neglected to tell Veld to double-check the saber out of spite. True Veld was also present during this revelation and renounced his friendship with Skywalker. Rightfully so, in my opinion. However, in an ironic twist, it was the trauma of Tanis' death that had brought Olin and Skywalker together, even if it was only slightly. The two then parted ways pleasantly, with Ferus promising to help any Jedi in need in the future, even if it is his own rival, Anakin Skywalker himself. But just 4 years later, the news of the end of the Clone Wars would spread around the galaxy like wildfire, as Chancellor Palpatine had revealed himself as the Sith Lord who orchestrated the start of this devastating conflict, playing both sides of the war from the very beginning. Palpatine, now the newly appointed Emperor, had executed Order 66, declaring all Jedi Masters, Knights, and Padawans all traitors of the Republic. At this point in time, all Jedi were to be shot on sight by the very troopers they have fought alongside with for the past few years of this conflict. But for Ferus Olin, this was not the fate that awaited him. Once Ferus Olin had resigned from the Jedi Order, he was automatically below notice and not considered a direct threat to Palpatine's new empire, which could also result from the new Emperor of the Galaxy not knowing of the existence of Olin. A few months after he had left the Jedi, Ferus met a young human male by the name of Rowan Lance on the planet Balassa. The two quickly became friends and started a business together, which involved the protection of whistleblowers, or defectors, against corrupt organizations that aimed to silence them. During this time, Ferus was pretty much under the radar of the Empire for the start of its reign, although this did not make Ferus stay put and ignore the atrocities that Palpatine was committing as the Emperor of the galaxy. To combat against the Empire, Ferus and Rowan founded a resistance group known as the 11. The Empire attempted to crush this movement as swiftly as possible and made finding Olin and Lance top priority. Eventually, the Empire would catch up with the two men, with Lance being captured and Ferus just barely escaping the Empire's clutches. Ferus would hide out in a small mountain cabin belonging to he and Rowan's first business client. As his wounds started to heal, Ferus plotted to go back and rescue Lance, despite a vow they had made to each other to never rescue one another if any of them were to be captured. Although, in a surprising twist of fate, those plans were changed when an old friend tracked him down to the cabin, an ally he never expected to see again. Obi-Wan Kenobi had tracked Ferus to the mountain cabin. This was the first time that Kenobi had left the planet of Tatooine since he vowed to watch over and protect the son of Skywalker. While Obi-Wan was there, he revealed to Ferus that Rowan was safe, rescued by Kenobi himself, and taken to one of the Resistance safe houses. The next day, it was revealed on the HoloNet that a mass arrest had taken place in the capital city of Usa, with an ultimatum given to Ferus Olin in the process. Olin had 2 days to give himself up to the authorities, or else the arrested prisoners taken into the city would all be executed. Although Ferus had planned to give himself up, he would not get the chance to, as his location had already been revealed. The bounty hunter known as Boba Fett, accompanied by another unknown hunter, were hired by the Inquisitor Malorum to track down Olin and his accomplices. The two hunters then attacked the cabin, with Olin fleeing with Kenobi to the underground mining tunnels. The two men managed to escape the hunters and acquire a land speeder, reaching the 11th safe house in the process. With Olin planning to give himself up, the resistance group created a plan to ensure the safety of all the prisoners that were taken in the event of a double cross by the Imperial Inquisitor. And sure enough, that was exactly the case, as Maloran attempted to double-cross the 11 with the claim that all the arrested prisoners were rioting, while stormtroopers proceeded to drag Olin inside of the Imperial garrison. But before the doors could be closed, Obi-Wan succeeded in piloting a small airspeeder into the garrison, allowing Olin to use the distraction and cutting down the two guards. The pair then fled into a small air vent and managed to escape the prison by stealing a ship and fleeing from the planet. Eventually, Olin's adventures would lead him right into the Empire's grasp. While on a mission on the planet of Naboo, Olin had encountered the Inquisitor known as Malorum. The Inquisitor was actively investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of Naboo's former senator, Padme Amidala. Malorum had suspicions that the senator might have given birth before her death, disproving the conclusions that the child or children had perished alongside their mother. With Obi-Wan's warning still lingering within him, Olin knew, even though he had no knowledge of the mystery surrounding Padme's death or what secret must be kept, he trusted Obi-Wan and would go on to do everything in his power to keep this information hidden. Olin and Malorum dueled on the Theed Royal Palace, with Olin beating him in a near evenly matched lightsaber battle. The battle ended in the Theed reactor core room, right where the Jedi known as Qui-Gon Jinn would be slain a decade prior. Disarming him, Malorum fell into the melting pit in a failed attempt to jump across to summon his lightsaber, finally taking the secret of the Skywalkers with him. As he exited the core room, Olin received a transmission from Emperor Palpatine himself, offering the young Jedi amnesty for all his past crimes if Ferus would agree to meet with him on the planet of Coruscant, with the guise that Olin would be allowed to go free with the amnesty without any further retribution. Ferus ultimately agreed with the meeting and traveled to Coruscant, deciding to hear what Palpatine had to say. The Emperor asked the Jedi to aid the desert world of Samaria, a world completely dependent on technology. Samaria was devastated when a bug was introduced into its computer mainframe, causing various critical systems to malfunction. Despite wanting to help the people of Samaria, Ferus still had no intentions of working for the Emperor and planned to only take the amnesty the Sith Lord originally offered. However, there was a catch set in place, as the Emperor later informed Ferus that both his friends Rowan Lance and Donatel Mark were arrested earlier that day and that they were scheduled to be executed unless the Jedi aided the Emperor in what he asked of him. Not wanting to let his friends die, Ferus agreed to travel to Samaria. Once he arrived on the planet, he was greeted by the Prime Minister Aaron Larker and the planet's Imperial Advisor Bog Davinian. It was later discovered that the person responsible for the sabotage of the planet's systems was Astri Odo, the former wife of the Imperial Advisor. Her motives behind the planet-wide sabotage soon became clear, as the woman was trying to protect her son from Bog Davinian, with Olin realizing soon after that the child was Force-sensitive. Quickly sensing the arrival of Darth Vader to their current location, they fled to the rooftops of the building, where they would be met by a few members of a different resistance group known as the Erased, along with a freed Rowan Lance and Donatel Mark. Managing to successfully steal an airspeeder, they were able to put some distance between them and the Imperial forces. During the last years of his life, Ferus eventually went on to join the rebellion, working closely with Senator Bail Organa, though he still continued to hide much of his Jedi past from them. In Olin's last mission, the rebels had learned that Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa, and Han Solo had all gone missing on the mission to the planet Nymeria, in which the rebels planned to attack the Imperial High Command located in the Saxilla system. Ferus managed to track down Luke, Han, and Leia to one of the moons of the Saxilla system. The rogue Imperial commander present, one by the name of Rezi Suresh, was attempting to set a trap for both the rebels as well as Darth Vader himself by luring them both into the system. Once there, Suresh would set loose a weapon which in time would completely destroy that star system entirely. Realizing this, Olin and Leia got to work on evacuating the prisoners from the facility. Unfortunately for them, Darth Vader would arrive soon after. In order for Leia to escape, Ferus offered himself as a distraction for Vader and engaged him in a lightsaber duel. Fighting a quick but deadly battle, Vader had defeated Ferus, impaling his lightsaber through Olin's heart. Ferus Olin, in the final act of his life, he had sacrificed himself in order to give the rebels a chance to escape, a chance to continue fighting for the freedom of the galaxy.